All right, so get this. Declarative UIs. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
It sounds like super techy,
Yeah.
but I swear it impacts, like, everyone. You know, how we experience apps, the digital world, all of that, even if we don't realize it.
Yeah, it's true. It really is more impactful than a lot of people would think.
So think of this deep dive as like, I don't know, getting a peek behind the curtain of how your favorite apps are actually made.
Exactly.
And maybe even picking up some cool tips and tricks along the way, about efficiency and things like that.
Yeah, like a little productivity boost, maybe.
Exactly. So our source material today is an article by Carlos Monzon. He's a tech lead over at Prezi. They do those gift cards.
I know Prezi, yeah.
Anyway, he basically broke down this whole declarative UI thing, like what they learned at Prezi by adopting this.
And what makes this deep dive even more interesting is we're not just talking about theory here.
Right.
This is Prezi, a real company actually using this stuff and seeing how it works. They talk about the good, the bad, and everything in between.
Yeah. So to kick things off, Carlos starts by explaining the difference between imperative versus declarative. It's like, honestly, a fundamental shift for programmers, how they think.
It really is. I mean, it's huge. It's like, can I give an analogy?
Yeah, lay it on us.
Okay, so imagine you're trying to get somewhere new, right?
Okay, I'm picturing it.
With the old way, the imperative way. It's like using a paper map, turn-by-turn directions. You have to spell out every single step.
Go 2 blocks north, turn left at the light.
Exactly. But with declarative, it's like plugging that address into your GPS.
You just tell it where you want to go.
Exactly. You're declaring the what, not the how.
And in app development, that what is everything you see and touch on the screen.
Right. It's the user interface, the UI, how it looks, how it feels. Declarative programming changes how developers make those experiences.
To give you a sense of how big a deal this is, Carlos even compares it to the jump from horses to cars.
Whoa.
That's how fundamental of a shift it is for how software is built.
It's a whole different way of thinking. And what I really appreciate is Carlos doesn't sugarcoat it.
Right.
He talks about the challenges, even includes quotes from their engineers, which is refreshing.
Yeah, it's one thing to talk about it in theory, but those real-world insights are gold.
Absolutely.
And there's some great ones in here, like from engineers who had worked with other systems and could compare.
Yeah, you get a real sense of how this all plays out in practice.
Okay, so before we get too deep into those quotes, can we back up for a second? What was actually going on at Prezi that made them want to make this big change? So it's not like they just woke up one morning and thought, let's throw out our entire approach to building this app.
No, not at all. They had some real pain points they were trying to solve.
Okay, got it.
Carlos talks about how their old way, the imperative way, it was slowing them down. It was like, imagine trying to build a house, but brick by individual brick.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of using, pre-built walls or panels.
Right. Make it much faster.
Exactly. And as their team grew, it got even harder to keep everything organized.
Makes sense. More cooks in the kitchen and all that.
Exactly. It's like 10 chefs trying to make the same dish, but each one is starting from scratch.
Oh, yeah, your lasagna is going to taste a little different depending on who's making it.
For sure. And with imperative UI, you're basically giving the app step-by-step instructions for every little thing.
Oh, I see.
And when you have a bunch of people adding their own steps, it can get messy.
So declarative UI is like having a standardized recipe for the app then?
Yes, exactly. That's what they were going for. A way to build the interface faster, with fewer errors, and a more consistent look.
Gotcha. And this is where those engineer quotes come in.
Yes, this is where it gets good, because they actually went through it.
Right.
One engineer said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that it was like trading in a clunky old tractor for a sports car.
Okay, now that's an image. I can get behind that.
Right. And it wasn't just one person either.
Oh, really?
Carlos says a lot of their engineers, especially those who'd used other frameworks like React, they just got it. The learning curve wasn't as steep.
Huh. So it's not just about being faster. It's also about making the developers' lives easier.
Yeah. And you know what happy developers mean?
What's that?
Better apps.
Makes sense to me.
Oh.
So what else did they learn along the way?
One thing Carlos emphasizes is how important clarity becomes.
Clarity.
Yeah, with declarative UIs, the code itself is cleaner, easier to understand.
Oh, interesting. So it's less like, I don't know, deciphering ancient scrolls and more like reading a clear set of instructions.
Exactly. And that helps everyone, not just the person who wrote the code. It's easier for new team members to jump in and figure things out.
Ah, So it's like if your kitchen's a disaster, it's going to take you twice as long to find anything, let alone cook. But if everything's organized.
Exactly. It's just smoother, more efficient. But here's the thing. It's not just about the technical stuff.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah. Prezi's experience, it actually highlights some things that are true about teamwork in general and design, even personal productivity. It's pretty cool.
Okay, you got to tell me more about this. This is like life-changing stuff. Who doesn't want to be more efficient?
Right. And get this. Carlos lays out 3 big takeaways.
Okay.
And they're surprisingly relevant, even if, like, you've never touched code in your life.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
The first one is about guidelines.
Guidelines, huh?
Yeah.
So like rules for how you build things this new way.
Yeah. But it's even bigger than that. Think about, like, have you ever tried to hang a picture?
Oh, don't even get me started. My walls still have holes from the last time,
Right. So you're holding the hammer, your partner's giving you directions,
which are usually wrong, by the way.
and it's just a recipe for disaster. But imagine you agree on a system beforehand.
Okay, yeah.
Spacing, the height, all of that. Maybe you even have like a little template.
Oh, that would make things so much easier.
Exactly. That's what guidelines do for this kind of UI. They create that shared understanding.
So it's like everyone's on the same page from the get-go.
Exactly. Consistency, fewer mistakes, like no more, wait, why is this button here moments.
Oh, I see. Okay. And this applies to other things, not just apps, right?
Totally. Teamwork, projects,
Yeah.
even planning a trip. Having those ground rules up front, it's huge.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What was their second big aha moment?
Design system.
Design system. Sounds kind of intimidating.
I know, right? But it's actually pretty simple. Think of it like this. Imagine you're doing a puzzle.
Okay, I like puzzles.
But instead of this jumbled mess of pieces, you've got sections already put together.
Oh, that's so much better. Like those puzzle guides that break it down.
Exactly. A design system is like a collection of pre-built parts, buttons, icons, all that, but already designed in a way that's consistent.
Ah, so instead of reinventing the wheel every time they need a button,
They've got a whole library of options ready to go.
that's smart. Way more efficient.
Exactly. And it's not just a tech thing either. Think about, like, recipes. You've got your base tomato sauce.
Right. And then you can use it for pasta, soup, whatever.
Exactly. It's about having those core elements you can reuse and adapt.
I love it. Okay, this is like life advice disguised as tech talk, I'm telling you. All right, what's the last takeaway?
This one's important. They realized they had to stay updated.
What do you mean?
Like, to make this new approach work, they couldn't just learn it once and be done.
Okay, yeah.
New tools pop up, things change. They had to be willing to keep learning.
So it's like upgrading your phone.
Exactly. That shiny new model is great, but you got to update the software.
So true. Okay, so to sum it up, clear communication, smart design, and a willingness to adapt, that's what they learned.
Exactly. And those are good principles for anything, really, don't you think?
Absolutely. You know what's interesting, though? This whole declarative idea, it got me thinking. It's like maybe this is part of a bigger shift.
What do you mean?
Like our digital world, it's becoming more about saying what we want, not so much how to do it.
I see what you mean.
And it makes you wonder, could that change how we approach things in our own lives?
That's a good question. Something to think about for sure.
Well, there you have it. A peek into the world of declarative UIs. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. Hopefully you learned something new and maybe even found some inspiration for your own work and life. Until next time.